Welcome to the Lifestyle Chase. This podcast features high performers who have found a way to live their best life while balancing their health, wellness, friends, and family. Proudly hosted by me, Chris Little. Without further ado, let's get started. Welcome to episode 44 of the Lifestyle Chase. I am joined by Mr. and Mrs. Love Pizza, Gavin and Braede. How are you doing today?
We're good.
Good, thank you.
Yeah.
So,
it's funny when people call us that because I didn't take Gavin's name when we got married, so that's like that's our joint last name now, Love Pizza.
It was actually something that I was thinking about. I did a little bit of Googling and I was like, well, are they going by different last names? And I was like, I'm just going to coin them as Mr. and Mrs. Love Pizza. It's got good flow, no question.
Yeah.
It's easy.
So, what was today like for the two of you? Pretty busy?
Today?
Yeah.
Well, it's only 9 o'clock in the morning, so it couldn't have been too busy yet.
You never know.
But, yeah, I mean, on Tuesday is order day, so
Okay.
I was up and out of the house at just before 7.
Yeah.
And I shot into the restaurant downtown and put away the massive Cisco order that comes in overnight. And then rushed back home, got changed, and came here.
Sweet.
But, meanwhile, Braede was fighting with the child to get him...
trying to get him out the door to daycare. But
trying to get him out the door relatively early.
Nice.
So that we could get him.
He's a little bit like a little, almost 4-year-old teenager that he likes to be up a little bit later and not out of bed and out of the house super quickly.
Makes sense.
So.
But he's a bit of a rock star, isn't he?
He can hold his own. Yeah, he's quite a character, and which is lovely and wonderful, but it's also challenging because he has a lot of opinions and thoughts of his own. That
we like to get up and get going.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to get him into that habit, but a lot of mornings he doesn't want to.
And then he has the nickname the Love Pizza Prince, right?
he does, yeah.
So where did that come from?
I just gave it to him one day. I run all of our social media accounts,
Yeah.
and he quickly became a big part of our business and our brand and our story and our adventure. And I don't know the name. I don't really know how I coined that, but it works, and he will be out places for an event or something like a charity event, and I'll have him in tow with me, and people will say, "Oh, it's the Love Pizza Prince," and he just kind of laughs and he thinks it's kind of funny. So.
He gets recognized more than I do.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
out in
it's
public.
kind of funny.
Which is hilarious.
Yeah.
I think it's neat. Do you think he'll ever grow out of it, or do you think he'll grow into it? And like,
I don't know.
No, we got the Instagram account for him already, so that's all set up.
Just in case he wants it at some point,
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So it's there, but we'll
There's
see.
also a fine balance too of making sure that if I'm posting stuff about him, that it's something that's respectful, and that in a couple of years he's not going to be really upset or embarrassed or I don't know. There's parts of me that wonder if I should be putting stuff up about him just because of him, but I don't use his actual name a lot of the time. And it's just social media is just kind of a tricky thing, but he is obviously a huge part of us and our family and our business, and he loves being in the restaurants, and he loves the customers, and he loves talking about our feature pizzas every month, like when he knows when we're changing our features, and he always asks what we're doing and if he can try it and all that stuff. So yeah, it's just kind of a fine balance of figuring out how much of him to put out to the world. But
Totally.
Yeah.
And it's like a good segue into like social media with people and kids and mental health and adults. What is your stance, like, as he gets older? What would you approach social media with? Would you set boundaries? Would you give him like advice going into it? Because social media can really take a person down.
yeah, I think we would definitely set boundaries. I mean, who knows what social media is going to look like, but like he's not even 4 yet, so it changes so quickly too.
Yeah.
That I don't know. I'm sure it'll change 5 times before he gets an account of any kind of himself. But I think boundaries is definitely an important thing, and definitely talking to him about it and his friends about it and being open, because like you said, it can bring a person down really quickly. It's funny, Gavin and myself were not other than the business, we're not big into social media at all personally.
Yeah.
I obviously have to be because of our business. Like, that's where we get a lot of our customers. That's where we share a lot of our news and stuff that's going on. If you look at our account, it's a very positive account. We try to keep it pretty light. But I also share a lot of different experiences that I have with our son, talking about the homeless population, or talking about self-worth, or talking about mental health. We have a lot of customers and a lot of friends that a lot of those issues are very prevalent in their lives, and he knows them, and he knows that too. And I've always felt that talking about that with him is really important, even at a young age, even if it's a more basic conversation at the age of 3, obviously. But he understands that there are many people in the city that don't have a home. He sees them in our alley, and he asks questions about it, and I want him to keep asking those questions.
I like that, like keeping that dialogue open, because like even at that age, I think back to when I was a little kid, like 3-4 years old, that stuff sticks.
Yeah.
And like even talking to my nieces, there's something that I told one of my nieces like a year ago, and she quoted on me like, I was like, oh,
I know.
Be careful.
I know, it happens daily with us. It's crazy.
There's a certain point that like from that point on you can't get away with anything, and like we've passed that point now, and we realize it time and again that he'll bring something up from 2 months ago that we might have just said in passing, and everything is now remembered, and he's never going to forget it. Like it's in there now.
And that can be about family, it can be about our business, it can be they're sponges. Totally. Which is amazing and scary at the same time.
So for people who are new to parenting, because I've had quite an array of guests, some of them are going to be parents really soon, some of them just became parents. What advice would you give to them kind of going into having a newborn baby and that whole concept?
For me as a mom, and Gavin maybe can answer it as a dad, but for me as a mom, I feel like moms especially get bombarded with, this is what you should do, or this is what you have to do, or this is what you have to buy, or this is all, it's constant. And I'm a really stubborn person and quite independent and set in my own ways, and I feel like I've known who I am for quite a while, and I'm quite confident in that. And when we had him, I wanted to do things how it fit into our lifestyle and how we wanted to parent and how we are as people and parents. And I just feel like you should listen to some advice if you want, but just don't take everything as you have to do everything that everyone else has done, because it's not going to work for you.
Yeah.
Like we opened our business when he was 5 months old. Or we opened our doors. We were planning our business and designing our space and building our space when he was still in my tummy. So that's not really how a lot of people spend that time in their life, but it worked for us. And we had a lot of people asking like why we're doing that at this time, and it's just how things fell and how things landed, and it worked well for us. And I know for me, when we've both been very active people our entire lives, and going to the gym is something that I love doing. And he was born 10 days after his due date, and I was in the gym lifting weights when I was 2 days overdue with him, because I can't sit still and I wanted to feel strong. And you're getting ready for this big life-changing event and you want to feel like yourself still. And I had a lot of odd looks in the gym, and I had a lot of people asking me if I thought I should be doing that. My doctor said, you're fine, just keep doing what you're doing. And we had a really healthy baby, and I feel like you just have to do you, and you have to do what makes you feel good and strong and still yourself.
Yeah. Self-awareness is pretty important, like just kind of figuring out who you are and what you need, and then addressing that directly. And
your body's going to tell you what you should be doing too when you're going through something like that too.
Yeah.
Dad version.
I mean, for me, it's a lot of the same, that we raise our son the way that works for us. We don't have a typical work week. Neither of us works a 9-to-5 job and is home every evening. I don't think I was home one night last week or in the house much at all last week, but that's the week we had, and that's our business. And this week I'll have a bit more time, and we just do things at the time that it makes sense for us and when it makes sense for us, and we are not concerned that we're not like in that 9 to 5, and then every night together, and then every weekend together. There's lots of weekends where Braede and I have things to do, and he gets to go and see his grandparents, and that works for us. It works for them. So I think the biggest thing is not to worry about what other people think about how you're doing it. Do what works for you, and then also just the expectation. If you're gonna, as you become a parent, like the reality is things really do change. Like that's the biggest thing in our life that changed when we moved in together or when we got married. Everyone, the people say, oh, everything's going to change. Like nothing changes when we got married. It was the same as it was before. When we bought a house, it was the same as it was before, But when you have a kid, that's the one that like really did change. Like your time is no longer your time, right? And there's now a whole other person you're taking into account that doesn't want to be reasonable and listen and do what you want at the time very frequently. So the patience and the understanding that you're not going to be able to do things the way you were before a little, and you're going to have to adapt, I think is something that maybe some people are kind of prepared for how significant that change can be.
Totally. So the two of you met over pizza, is that correct?
No, well, our first date was over pizza.
Okay.
We met over drinks.
Makes sense.
At we were on the old Joey's on Jasper.
Okay.
Which is now local.
Yeah.
On 112th Street in Jasper there. We met there on the patio in the summer of 2009. So just randomly through some friends. Well, not randomly, but through some friends. And then our first date was down the street at the original Famoso location.
So what inspired the two of you to go into pizza business?
Well, I've been in the restaurant business now since 2010. I started Press Sandwich Company with my brother and an ex-teammate from the U of A. So restaurants were something we were familiar with, and particularly fast casual or quick service restaurants. We had experience in that. And since we met, obviously our first date was over pizza, and we would go to Ragazzi all the time here in Edmonton, and Tony's once in a while, but like Ragazzi was our main spot, and that we really liked going for pizza, and that was probably both of our favorite food. We went to New York, I think it was in 2015 or something. We were in New York for a week, and I think we had like 13 different pizza stops
pretty much all
on
we
Braede's
ate.
blog. Like we literally went and walked around New York and ate pizza. And like,
Yeah.
that's just what we really like to do. We had been talking very early on about different types of pizza we liked and like places we liked to go, and so it was always something we were talking about. And then the opportunity came along with some people that were interested in trying to do what we've done with Love Pizza, and they were looking for someone that could get it done. Like they wanted to be a part of it. They wanted to, be involved, but they didn't know how to do it or what it would take. And my name came up, and we got introduced to them, and from there we just kind of ran with it. It went pretty quick. I think we were open from the time I had my initial meeting with the group, with the Sid Investor Group. That initial meeting to the day we opened our doors was like 10 months.
Holy cow.
From ground up, we built everything out, got the space, did the branding and the menu and all that stuff. So, but we'd done it before. It wasn't like we were first time.
Yeah.
And now it's 3 and a bit years later, and we're still learning like, every single day, finding ways to be faster and more efficient and do it better, right? So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, are you still involved with Pressed, or?
I'm not actively involved. I still have an ownership stake.
Okay.
In the press group, but no, my brother Grant and my partner Scott, they run the day-to-day of that business.
Yeah.
And they're continuing to grow that brand and do what they can. I think they're now in Calgary, Red Deer, Edmonton, Sherwood Park, Leduc, Saskatoon, Regina, so they're growing it nicely.
Yeah, like I remember when it just had a couple locations, and I've like watched it grow throughout the city. Like, where was the first location of Pressed?
The first location was downtown in City Center Mall.
Okay, that's why I remember it.
In the
'cause I used to
basement.
work there.
But the side that is now converted to a parking lot.
Okay.
So we opened on the west side, where there was a Ricky's restaurant down there and there was a dollar store.
Yeah.
You would go down those escalators, and we were in that little corner right as you came down those escalators.
Yeah.
And so it was like just a constant feed of people, and it was an amazing location. It turned out just to be phenomenal. And then when they did the renovation at City Center Mall, they closed that and they moved the Pressed franchisee up to the new Elevate food court on the east side. And then they converted that to a parking lot, and that whole renovation hasn't really gone as they expected, I don't think. But that was our first store down in the basement of City Center Mall.
That's pretty cool. I worked at the Sport Check in that mall.
Oh yeah.
For like a year or so.
Yeah.
So I saw all that traffic, that constant flow, because like that area, especially, well, you get like people coming off the LRT, you get people
going
on
through
their
that
lunch
little
break.
hallway that was like only 3 people wide.
Yeah.
It was connecting the two sides of the mall. It was
So bizarre.
and people were there's always people walking by it though, right?
Yeah.
We had crazy lineups at lunchtime there. It was so busy.
What was it like when you kind of saw that business expand?
It was exciting. It was a lot of work, a lot of learning early on doing it the first time. None of us had ever worked in that environment. So we had to learn all about the franchise business and how to support franchisees and real estate leasing and, you know, getting better at operations. And obviously doing it this time with Love Pizza is a little easier in some ways, but then you also have learned, once you know more, things can also be more complicated because you know what to look out for. And so now you are almost more cautious because you have all these other considerations. Whereas if you're doing something the first time with somewhat of blinders on, you just kind of go forward and you figure it out as you go, right?
Yeah.
So it is a little different, but it's going really well.
So now that you know what to look for, and like Love Pizza, isn't that franchisable now? Like you guys
We actually are franchising it now. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, you know, sort of like the safeguards, the guardrails, some kind of flags to look out for if somebody's going after their dream, and maybe it's not necessarily a restaurant, but just anything that's potentially going to get bigger. What would you look out for? What would you advise them?
The biggest thing that I would say to somebody that wants to do something is don't get bogged down in the minute detail and the worry about what if it doesn't work. There's so many instances where people want to do something, but they just don't take the action and actually do it. And we find that I've seen that in all sorts of businesses, people we know, but if you want to get something done, just thinking about it and sitting there and stewing about it's not going to matter. You have to just do it.
You have to give it a try.
You have to give it a try. And I think that's something that Braede and I both are, me more so, like I'll give anything a try and I'll put the time in, I'll do the work, I'll do the work and we'll get it done. But Brady's very much of the same mind that like, we're going to give it a try and we're going to do the best we can. We're going to, you know, give it everything we have, and if it works out really well, it works out, and if it doesn't, we've done the best we can. Like you can't be worried and paralyzed by
There's some
fear.
things you can change and some things
Right.
you can try again, and
Like today is going to be a slow day in the restaurant,
Yeah.
because there's a blizzard at the end of April. We can't control that, right? Like it's going to be a slow day in the restaurant. That's the way it is.
Yeah.
But you move past it, you get on to the next thing. But I think the biggest for someone who wants to do something is just do it. Like get started and learn as you go.
and also just make sure that it's something that they're really passionate about and excited about, and something that speaks to them. Because if you're spending all that time doing something and you're not really jazzed about it, you're not gonna do very well.
Yeah. No, that's
Especially
so
if it's a small business where you're
You're the
like,
voice.
in there,
You're the
right?
one.
Yeah.
if it's a passive investment, it's obviously different. But if you're the one doing the work and you're the one who's going to figure it out and you're going to put in the time and you don't like it, and you're not excited about it, even if if it doesn't, like, if you're not up at night thinking about it, then maybe it's not the right fit, because when the hours are 80 or 90 hours that week, like, are you going to want to do that?
Yeah.
If you're not excited about it, probably not, right?
That's something that's quickly transferable to like personal trainers.
Totally.
Like if a personal trainer is trying to make a go of it, they gotta love personal training.
Right.
Like, they have to be a people person.
Yeah.
It's neat. With social media, I've talked to Christina from KB & Co. I've talked to Vance from Central Social Hall. I know they both had some experiences with that social media, like just savagery from like customer base. You get some people, they had a bad day, maybe they had a bad pizza. Have you ever experienced that? Just bad feedback?
Yeah.
How do you deal with it?
It's hard.
Yeah.
Because that's your life, that's your other baby, that's your team is your family, right? And not everybody's gonna have a good day all the time, and especially in a quick service environment, everybody can see everything that we do, right? Like our pizza line is in front of everybody. And it's hard. You do the best that you can. And with customers, I mean, it's about expectations, right? A lot of the time too. But if it's an email, you just try to send the best email that you can and try to be as positive as you can and invite them back and compensate them if need be.
Overall, though, we haven't had a lot of big issues. No. We get complaints for sure. We make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. Yeah. We apologize. We try and learn from it. We fix the issue. I think the biggest annoyance for us as as restaurant operators is when you get customers in your business that don't treat the staff well. Yeah. That just, it just really annoys us when you get customers that don't treat the team with respect and think that because they're there that because they're serving them their lunch or something, they don't deserve that respect. And that's one of the biggest things that gets to us. And we've always talked about how we want Branson, and he will work in the service, and whether it's with Love Pizza or something, he will do some service employment, some service work at some point, because people that have worked in service of some aspect, they treat the people that are serving them differently. Then they don't treat them poorly. Like they understand how hard it is. We have
such an important trait to have.
Just like the empathy of what the person on the other side of the line who's making your food is going through, and they've just dealt with 150 people in the last 2 hours, each with their own, questions and requests and things, and they've done it with a smile, and they've given great service, and then just understanding that that's not an easy task either, right? So
we've talked about this quite a lot recently too, and we've always said we wear the same shirts as our team. I like to think that I blend in with 20 some odd year olds, but I don't know, I'm looking a little bit older now, but how I know that how I'm treated by someone who doesn't know that I'm the owner, which is fine. I don't, unless people ask me, I tell them, but I want people to treat our team like they would treat the owner of a business a lot of the time, right? And sometimes you get that and sometimes you don't. And I've said to Gavin recently too, at some point, I don't know how I would word it, but on a social media post, I would like to put out a bit of a challenge, right? Because if I go through a drive-through, like if I'm stopping for a hot chocolate at Tim Hortons, or if I'm getting a little burger or something, and if I'm through a drive-through and you get up to that first window and you can't see the person and they say, "May I take your order?" And how many people do you think say, "Hi, how are you doing?" first? Yeah. And I always do that, and you can automatically hear a change in that person's voice, and they get happier and they say, "Oh, I'm great, how are you?" But how many people do you think ask them that? Even at a Starbucks when it's really busy, asking the person who's taking your order first, "How are you doing today?" You don't get that in the service industry that often. We get it once in a while in the restaurants with our regular customers and people that I know that work in the service industry, and the team loves it. You can see in their body language, like they stand up straighter and they have a smile on their face, and you get better service from the person. It's always what you're putting out to people you get back. And I just feel like in this busy world, I'm using quotes, busy world that we're all in it, we're still humans, right? There's that human interaction that people still crave and that they want, and I just feel like a lot of the time that's missing in a lot of aspects of our life.
Totally agree. That's something that I would advocate for. It's just interpersonal communication is so key and so helpful in resiliency. Yeah. Just in this world where you think that you don't have any accountability to somebody else just because we can hide behind a screen.
Totally, yeah.
And it just takes a little gesture, hey, how are you doing? And it's simple. Hopefully somebody listening to the podcast is like, "Oh, I could probably do that," because it's true.
I'll put out a post at some point. I just
I do it
totally in the proper way.
I say just be careful how you word it, right? Because when you put that out, like we just talked about, you throw it out on social media in the wrong way, and then you get the other negative side about why are you preaching to me about how I should, then that's what we go back and forth on a lot about social media. Is you have to we're not a political brand. We're not,
No.
you know, we try and keep it light, like Braede said, right?
Yeah.
But there's certain things we really do like to talk about, like the campaigns we're doing with places like the Bissell Center or something.
Yeah,
like,
and
'cause
the
those are
Terrace
super
Center and
important
mental
to us,
health
right?
stuff, and yeah, it's
So we have this conversation back and
Yeah.
forth about how to put things out there
Yeah.
to not get the negative response, right, as well.
I've learned in my social media experience, because I could do a post and sometimes it's like a really heartfelt post and then boom, 20 unfollowers, like
yeah.
20 people left, and then the next day I do another post, similar thing, 10 people joined in, and it's just like
yeah.
I've realized that is just what it is. I'll always have like certain people that just stick around. I'll always have floaters and leavers and stuff. But if I have that self-awareness to know like what are the things that are truly, truly important to me, and I stay as close to that as possible,
Yeah.
then I kind of feel like things going forward will be good.
Yeah.
So I found that a lot of people that have come onto the podcast have sort of like a set of core values. So we'll go one at a time, and it might just be the same core values, but we'll start with you. What are your core values?
I think it's pretty much the same as what we talk about with our team in the restaurant, and it's treating everybody with respect. Like that's a big one for us, both of us. You know, respect for the people you're working with, the customers in the store, and also the business. You know, like being honest about when you clock in and clock out. You know, being honest about what you're taking for your meals and things, like just small stuff, but just respect in general. So respect is huge for us. Honesty and integrity. We are very upfront with our team. We're very upfront with our customers, our vendors. Like we want to have open and honest relationships with everyone we deal with. It's not worth trying to deceive somebody to save $1 here or there. Like we just you're thinking about it afterwards, and like why live with that guilt or fear? It's just for us, like honesty and integrity, respect is massive, and I think hard work, like that's big for me. I love what I do. I love the fact that there's some days that I put in 16 hours straight on my feet working in the kitchen or just being in the restaurant, and other days that I get a little bit less, but I love to work hard, and we want our team, when we're at work, we're going to work hard, and when we're not, we're going to relax and enjoy that time off. But I think those for me are three of the biggest things that I always try and do in my day-to-day and my relationships with my business, my employees, my family. Yeah,
those are good ones.
Yeah, and I think for me they're the same, and then also just kind of being true to yourself too, like we kind of talked about passions and keep doing what you want to be doing, and again that kind of translates to the team too. Like if you don't want to be here, then you don't need to.
You don't
be
have
here.
to be, right?
Yeah. But our team, I mean, you've been in our restaurant before, and we get a lot of feedback about our team, positive feedback, that they seem to really like being there, and they take a lot of pride in working for Love Pizza and being part of our team and our restaurant family and making the products that they do. They take a lot of pride in that, so that's a big one for.
And just for us, like we're in the process right now of actually bringing our first franchise group on board downtown for our Canterra location. They'll be taking over the sale. The sale will close anytime in the next week. So they're training right now, and I'm training them in the kitchen, and we're both working with them out front, and our team is as well. But even yesterday, I was working on dough with one of them, and I asked him how it's going so far. Like, what's your impression so far, and what do you think? And he said, well, it's great. We're both super happy, and the business that we've seen over the last couple of weeks is exactly what you guys said it was, right? And I said, yeah, like, you guys are buying this business, you're becoming franchisees. Like, we're not here to tell you it's anything but exactly what you're getting into.
Yeah.
Because we're going to have a 10, 15, 20-year relationship with you. We're not starting it off by, trying to pull the wool over your eyes and get you into a business that is different than what it actually is, right?
Yeah.
And so but hearing that from someone else, that's just how we operate the business and how our team operates, and it's good to hear that feedback, because that's how we try to be. And they were very happy that exactly what they were told is what they're seeing.
Because you hear a lot of horror stories, especially in the franchise business, about
there's a lot
broken
of
promises.
People that not telling the whole truth up front and like what it really is, but they know what they're getting into, and they know how much hard work it is. Like
We've always told them that from the first meeting that we had.
They're
This is a
losing
lot
weight
of work.
already.
Yeah.
It's good to like communicate really, really well in every instance that you have. Like I found whenever I get like a new client for training, I'll just be straightforward and blunt. Like if they're coming to me for a few sessions, because I just do it session by session generally, and then if they're long term, maybe I'll build them a few at a time. But it's my job to earn their business. Like there's a lot of trainers out there, like thousands, and they could go to any one of them anytime they want. So I need to be valuable enough that they come back, and that's just how it goes. And so I have to communicate.
And it's
like,
you. It's you. You
have to be like, are you enjoying this experience? Like, are you missing anything? If you made this program, would you change anything? Because at the end of the day, they're in the gym, whether I know something that might work better or not, like as long as I am within a scope that is not going to cause impingement or pain, like if they want to do like a bunch of air squats, they can do a bunch of air squats because it's their time in the gym. With communication with family or employees, what's your best advice for that? Just general advice in keeping communication constant. Start with either one of you.
We just try not to talk too much. No, I just think for Braede and I are, we have a very, I think, very open relationship, and we are that way. I think with with each other, with our team. Like we talked about, like our team knows probably way more about what's going on in our business and the detail of like where things are at than most other businesses like ours. Like we don't have any secrets. There's no point to it. With each other, everything's on the table. We talk, we spend a lot of time together. Not as much as some people would think that we work together because we're in different locations a lot of the time. I think in the future that will change as we move more to franchising. We'll be spending more time kind of together working on projects. But right now, a lot of the time we don't see each other because I'm up and out of the house into the restaurant and she's doing something else in the business, or she's with Branson in the morning and then she's working on marketing projects. But open, and just be open, be honest, get it out there. Like,
and over the 3 years that we've had our downtown location, in particular, I mean, we've had a lot of discussions with our teams that are very personal and very emotional, and like they come to us before they come to a lot of other people in their life about stuff. I said to Gavin that over the last couple of years, I mean, I felt like I've been a mom, like a restaurant mom and a restaurant dad to them, because we employ quite a few younger people, right? Like the average age is probably like 22.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff that goes on at that age, right? With relationships and mental health and all that stuff. And like we've had a lot of really tough conversations with them. But they know that they can talk to us, and they'll always be able to talk to us even when ownership changes downtown to the franchisees. But that's something that we've always said to them. If you need to talk to us, we're here. And we've had text messages at 2 a.m. or phone calls at 1 a.m, like, but that's
we're very non-judgmental. I think is like we're there as a sounding board, and neither of us is the type of individual that's going to judge somebody for any issue they're having. Like we've always had that, come to us, you can talk to us, like we'll listen, we'll help you out whatever way we can, and it's an open door policy with us for sure.
And it's incredibly empowering for a person to have like an outlet like that, because especially when they're in that time, when somebody's working in the service industry, that's usually sort of like a segue time, unless they're building up experience and they're going to go into business on their own. Like I know when I worked at Safeway in the deli for a bit, and that was kind of like my job that I had when I was in high school. And then I was working at Central for a year, and that was sort of my job that I did to segue between being like full-time employed, like enough money that I never had to worry about it, to quitting the job and jumping into personal training. Like that sort of supported me. And it's in those times there's a lot of stress, and in those times it's really easy to feel alone. So if you have like a workplace that is supportive and is kind of like that parachute, just imagine how much like more loyalty that they'll have, and how much more just ownership over that business that they don't have an ownership stake in. Like they're going to take so much more pride in how their customers are treated, because they're going to be like, this is my home, and everybody is welcome here, which is great. We brushed on fitness a bit, and you talked about how it's kind of sort of something that you always need to have in your life. Is that something for both of you?
Definitely. For sure. I my entire life was playing sports until the end of university. High school was basketball and baseball, soccer. Played basketball for the U of A for 5 years while I was going to school there. Since then, it's been working out and more just recreational sport. Like I really don't have a desire to be on a competitive or any type of a team sport right now. I haven't for like 10 years. That have to be somewhere on Friday night at 10 o'clock to play a men's league game. It just has no attraction for me. I did that for so long, and I think part of what I really enjoyed about the competitive sport was the pursuit of that championship. Like that was a big thing for me. But in terms of going to the gym, we try. Right now, this last 2 months, I worked out like 3 times this year. I've still lost about 10 pounds. I've been on my feet a lot, but
working in a restaurant's a different kind of workout.
I'm going all the time on my feet, but we try. If we could, I'd get to the gym 5 times a week. I love to.
And for a while we were.
And for a long time we were, and we'll get back to it. But I really enjoy. I really enjoy lifting, not so much for like heavyweight anymore. I did a lot of CrossFit and powerlifting, and kind of after basketball between kind of 22 and 27, I was going to Spark Fitness there for a long time. Really enjoyed that, but now I don't really want the weight doesn't really attract me because of the potential for injury. The heavier that stuff gets, but I love to hit the rowing machine, and I would lift weights 3 to 5 times a week if I could get there. Or as our son gets older, it's going to be more and more swimming, tennis, golf. I think golf would be at the top of my list for leisure activities. In this city, it's a short season, but that would be what I would do for sure.
Yeah, and I grew up figure skating and doing ballet, and I ran track for a long time. I was a sprinter, and I loved that. And with the skating and running, I had a personal trainer who really became one of my best friends. And he really taught me how to lift weights properly and being confident in the gym, which I think I'm pretty small, like I'm a bit of a lightweight, but I think that's a tough thing for a lot of smaller women or women in general in a gym, is to find the confidence to lift weights. But that's something that I've always really enjoyed, and he taught me how to be strong. And I mean, I weigh like 100 pounds, but I was deadlifting and squatting a lot more than most people my size could do. And I loved that. And still when I get to the gym now, I'm not big into cardio. I'll warm up a bit, but I like lifting weights. I like feeling strong, and I feel mentally way better when I've been in the gym, for sure. And I think both of us do, and we know that. But like I said, being in the restaurant, if you're on your feet, you're lifting flour bags, you're lifting dough bits. Like it's a different kind of workout, right? And I get a lot of people asking me about what I do in the gym, because
you look ripped.
I look ripped, but my life is lifting stuff in the restaurant, or lifting our son, or playing with our son, right? So even if I don't get into the gym, there's still a lot of activity in our life. But we'll get back there.
Sometimes it's just about like moving, being active, and having that like high pace environment where you are moving and being active, and having that background. Like you both have spent enough time in the gym that when you're lifting like the heavy bags, like you're less inclined to get injured, which is great. You've got that foundation. I find that a lot of fitness routines are transferable to career pursuits. Like I think probably all my clients, if not almost all of my clients, actually got a raise or a promotion in their job in the time that they train with me. And I'm not trying to pump my own tires, but I'm just trying to give a showcase of how fitness can really change a person's life.
You feel significantly better. Right? You're going to be more attentive. You're going to be more alert. You're probably going to do better in your work. You're going to have more energy. You're going to sleep better. It's just everything in your life improves, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to just going home after and sitting on the couch all night and then waking up and going again.
Yeah. Well, I found the biggest thing is like that self-doubt, and especially like, well, everybody is going to be pretty hard on themselves, but I find like females, they're really hard on themselves, and like they exude confidence externally in a way that males don't, but internally I've noticed, and it's going to be different males and females, but what I notice is sometimes the people that look the most confident on the outside have the biggest things that they're trying to overcome on the inside. And fitness is just something where you can teach them how to find their strengths physically, and in turn it helps them find their strengths mentally, which is incredible, because like just how you show up to different situations in your life, if you feel really confident in who you are and what you can do, you're going to be surrounded by a lot of people who are also confident in what you can do, confident in what they can do, and it'll amount to so much more. So on the topic of travel, because I like to talk about travel with guests, what's the coolest place that the two of you have traveled to together?
We haven't traveled a lot lately. It's been a little busy. I think the best or coolest trip that we took together would be our New York trip. We just had a really good time. It was before we didn't have Branson at the time, and I think it was before obviously Love Pizza. It was just a really good week that we got away, and we were out doing something the entire time. We stayed in this tiny little hotel in like the upper west side of New York, and we walked like 20 to 30 kilometers a day. We just walked all over Manhattan, and we just had a great time, right? So New York's a really special city. We both really enjoy it. Like, we like action, so the pace of that was pretty good. That for me was probably my favorite trip that we've taken together.
That one and our California, our Carmel.
Yeah, we did the Pacific Coast Highway we flew to San Francisco and then drove down to LA basically over a couple days. That was really fun. And then this last year, I say we haven't traveled a lot. We've done lots. The last year has felt a little different. But about 13 months ago, I guess, so just over a year ago, we were in Hawaii for 10 days with my parents and my older brother and his family. And that was pretty special because that was our first kind of big trip together with Branson. I think when all of us had gone on a significant trip, and he had a really good time, and I got to trek him around the volcano and stuff in a backpack.
Before the volcano erupted.
Yeah, like good timing before it erupted. And so that was a really cool trip. Yeah. It's very different traveling with a child than
but it's really neat watching him experience it. Like even a plane ride, right? Like things that we've been doing for so long.
Yeah, I really have fun traveling with him because, well, you've gone on more trips with him. I've stayed behind, but it's really, I really enjoy watching him like out in the wild, kind of, right? Like in the airport, walking around with his stuff, or just how he interacts with other people. It's quite interesting.
Well, it almost teaches you not to take anything for granted.
Yeah.
When you see somebody experience something for the first time, and it's like, we get to do this thing today.
Yeah.
And like, when's the last time we thought to ourselves, I was able to get out of my bed, I had food to eat, I had people to interact with, and like, that's my day is packed full of things.
Well, I woke up this morning and I was so excited I got to do a podcast.
Sweet.
I just couldn't. No.
He's excited.
Good. You better be excited.
No, you're completely right though. That's something that I think about a lot with our son.
Yeah.
When we're doing stuff together, that how special he thinks every little thing is. Even we were driving here and Braede was saying how excited he was 2 days ago when he saw our local UPS driver.
His name's Darwin. He's been delivering to us
since before Branson was born.
Yeah,
since we started Love Pizza. We had all sorts of packages coming, like twice a week he was coming.
Because of the restaurant.
Because of the restaurant.
Yeah.
So we've seen him now for 3.5-4 years.
Yeah.
And he's seen Branson grow up, and they're buddies. And they were out for a walk and a bike ride, and he saw Darwin and like waved at him. And Darwin waves back and honks his horn. And like that was the greatest part of his bike ride was the UPS driver honking his horn at him, right? He's just so excited about these things. It's hilarious.
Those courier drivers are incredible.
They're great. Well, he leaves a dog biscuit for our dog Quincy every time he drops something off too. Like they're amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I spent quite a bit of time in the warehouse industry, so I interacted with tons of couriers. And you were hard pressed to find one that didn't have personality.
Yeah.
Like, it seems to be something that is like part of how they're wired.
Yeah.
They have to be always thinking on their toes. The amount of like situations they have to get themselves out of. Like, I know that Pure Later often has contracts where if they're delivering for like Amazon or something, they have to get it there that day, or else that driver gets like docked, or I don't know. It's high pressure situation.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's not too different than the fast service food industry.
Yeah.
So when you're selecting people, how do you select your people so that you know that they'll make it? Because you don't want to pick somebody and think, oh, I don't know if they'll be able to make it happen.
I think maybe I'm a little different than that opinion. When I look at our team, we look for personality. Like we make sure that they seem like a good person, but we're not looking for a ton of experience. Like, experience doesn't really matter in our job. If they interview decently, if they seem nice, and they're going to be personable
and clean,
like if they present well and they're going to represent our brand well and engage with customers well, I will hire fast. Like, I'm not bothering with a whole bunch of background checks or taking a bunch of time with questionnaires. Like, we're going to have a chat, and if you seem like you could do a good job and you would be a good fit, you're going to get a shot.
Yeah.
And if we're 4 or 5 days in and it's not a good fit, you're not going to be around. I prescribe more to the hire fast, fire fast, because in this industry, you could do a whole bunch of work up front, but then somebody could leave after 2 weeks anyways, right? I think we're just evaluating who the person is.
And how they would fit with the team.
And how they would fit with the team. How they are they someone that we would want our friends and customers to come in and see representing us? And that's what it is, right? And if they are, then they're going to get a shot. And if they perform, they're going to stick around. And if it turns out they can't do the job, but we
have a lot of people that have been with us for.
The average tenure of someone in our downtown store is probably like 18 to 22 months. We've hired one person in that restaurant. The last hire we made was like September. Everyone else has been with us over a year. We have
people that have been there for 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Almost.
So
pretty incredible.
And a lot of the people that we did hire, they've just left because their schooling is done. Yeah. Right? But we still get notes from them saying, like, we miss you. Or
we had one dishwasher delivery driver who came on with us in like August maybe, or September or whatever, as his summer landscaping job was done. He was doing gardening, and then he needed something for the winter. So he came with us, and then he gave me like a month's notice. He's like, hey, I'm starting gardening. April 15th is my first day. I said, sure. And he told me way ahead of time. Yeah. And he worked right up until that Sunday that he was done. And he was great.
And he might be back.
And who knows what happens next fall when his garden. You don't garden in Edmonton in the winter.
Yeah.
For obvious reasons, right?
And if you leave on good terms with
he was great. And we lost one other person recently because he was graduating. He was an engineering student and he was graduating. He was working 2 shifts a week throughout the year, which was great. He filled the spot and he was awesome. The team loved him. But he was moving back to Calgary when he's done. Yeah. So he decided to, he gave his 2 weeks notice and he finished up every last shift and it was great. But we just have a really good team that I think they enjoy the work environment.
And in St. Albert, we have a lot of people who have been there for, we just had our 2-year
We had our
birthday.
2-year. Our manager's been with us from day one. Yeah. We've got a couple other people that have almost over a year. Yeah. Yeah, but there's no secret formula in our business. Are you a good person? Would we want you to represent our brand?
Are you fit?
And are you going to fit with the team? And then give it a shot.
Yeah. If you don't fit with the team in an environment like that, like you're working side by side with them for the whole shift, right? And you have to work as a team or it's not going to work.
Everybody does everything in our business. There's no, for the most part. So there's no like someone who's only in the kitchen. Like there's no chef in the back screaming at the servers or something, right? It's just the classic, but you probably saw it Social. Yeah. Or Central when you were there, right? So everyone does everything. You have to get along, right? Totally. And if you're not, then we're just not going to put up with it.
Well, I mean, in my interview with the boys at Optimized Physiotherapy, I asked them about their sort of selection process because they got a lot of therapists and like just professionals that are working in the same setting. Mm-hmm. And what they said was they talk to them and they decide if this is somebody that they would like to have a beer with. And like, it's true. Yeah. Like, I like it if it's if it's somebody that you feel could represent your brand in front of your family, or if it's somebody that you could like bring for supper to your parents' house, like they're not going to embarrass you, they're going to make you proud, sort of thing. It doesn't really matter about like the previous experience, because everybody can be trained.
Yeah.
And especially when it's like a passion project of a business, like something where the leadership is going to be really proud of why things are done the way that they're done, and like not just abandon the rules. Like for a larger company where you kind of lose that passion, you're just there for the money, then certainly you could lose like the foundations for why things are done the way they're done. But I kind of feel like Love Pizza kind of, everybody's still taking pride. So everybody new is going to be like, oh yeah, this is how we do this.
People that are new or that come into our business and they start to learn it, they're actually quite excited because they realize, again, like what we say that we do a little differently than others, we actually do.
Yeah.
So when they come into our business, they realize that we don't just pull like frozen chicken out of the freezer that's formed or something and like put it on the line. Like we actually cook in our restaurants, right?
Yeah.
Like, we make our sauces, we make our own dough. Like they realize, holy, I'm not just working at a chain, big chain pizza restaurant that is everything's frozen off of a truck and they're just putting toppings on.
Yeah.
Like,
we've always said
in our
since
business.
Day one of our business, because we had a son when we were doing this, that we always want our food to be something that we feel comfortable feeding our son and ourselves, and something that makes us feel good feeding to other people. Where like preformed chicken is like a huge no-no for us, and just making sure that the food is real food and that what we're putting together is a really good product and that we're proud of.
Yeah, definitely.
So in all of your experiences with business and life and all these different things, what's the toughest obstacle that you've had to overcome? Because everybody has something that sort of stops them in their tracks.
Braede?
My biggest challenge in general in life is patience. My mom and dad will, if they were sitting here, that's the number one thing they would say is my issue. Patience in, I don't know, making the right choices, I guess, at the right time, and patience with our son. That's been a huge learning curve for me as a mom. Patience with people in the restaurant and learning new things. It's hard.
Yeah.
But I know that along the way there's been a lot of people that have had to be patient with me. So I think it's a struggle. Gavin shaking his head, yes. It's a bit of a, I don't know, it's constant, right? It's just a learning thing, and I might not ever get over that, but I hope that I'm getting a little bit better.
And your current biggest struggle would be lack of sleep.
Yeah, lack of sleep right now.
Our son only wants Braede at night.
Oh.
Yeah, he...
So, like, I was home last night. I tried to put him to sleep and read him all his books, had his snacks, and, we're lying down in bed, and hour up there, and then just wants mom, right? And so
yeah,
Braede goes up at 8:30, and I saw Braede this morning at 8:30 when I got home from the restaurant. So he just won't ask. He doesn't want me at night. So she is dealing with the brunt of that.
He has, I have a very active mind when I'm sleeping. I've always had really vivid dreams, and I sleep talk and I sleepwalk. I don't sleepwalk as much as I used to when I was younger, but I feel like he has inherited that. And I think he's been dreaming lately, like the last couple of months, and he'll yell in the middle of the night, but he won't be awake, but he'll want me. It's a very odd thing. So my sleeping patterns are kind of back to when he was a newborn because of whatever is going on with him. So that's
a current challenge.
That's a current challenge right now.
I think for myself, in terms of business challenge, what I probably have to struggle with the most is wanting to do too much too quickly and expecting to be able to get everything done. Like I have a whole lot of things I always want. Like my to-do list is always extremely long. a lot of it is on me, and I need to be better at getting other people to do things. The problem with that in a small business like we have is it's Braede and I. And a lot of these tasks I have to do. So delegation, as we grow, I need to get better at. Prioritization. And I try and do that on a daily basis. Like, what do I actually have to get done today? But when there's something I'm kind of more interested in, I'll go down that rabbit hole and spend 4 hours looking into mixers. Yeah. Until 2 o'clock in the morning. And then all of a sudden you're tired, but you know all about spiral versus planetary mixers.
Phew, thank goodness.
I know, right? Capacities are way better on a spiral.
Yeah.
I struggle with that. I want to do a whole lot. I have really big ideas and dreams of what we can do with this business, with the other businesses we're starting right now. And I think me coming back to reality in terms of what is actually possible in, the 12 to 16 hours a day you can spend working on it, then that's my
plus having a family,
family and a child and doing all those things and doing them well, because I always I'm a perfectionist in that I want things done extremely well.
Yeah.
And so trying to do too many things to too high a level of execution is what I get myself in trouble with.
Makes sense. So in having these long lists where it seems like it'll never end, how do you implement balance, or maybe not balance, but just have that time for family and for yourself? Like, how do you make that happen?
That for me comes back to that whole talk about not letting other people tell you what you should have, how your life should be run. Like, for us, balance for me is kind of an ambiguous term. Like, it's our life is our life, and it's priorities, and there's certain times when there is no, say, balance between it. Like, it's full on, this week we have a bunch of work to do, and I know that in 5 or 6 days I'm going to have 2 or 3 days of less work, and we're going to spend more time.
Yeah.
I don't think I will ever be the person that has the balanced day where you get up, have breakfast together, everyone goes to work, everyone comes home, like on a full week. Is just not going to be that's not my personality. And I know myself that I'm always going to work 10 to 12 hours a day, and I just enjoy it. But when we're off. I think we're getting better at that. Mm-hmm. And I've learned that over the last 10 years being an entrepreneur, that work hard when you're working, and I work a lot, but when we're going to go and do something, it's the ability to shut it off and focus on what we're doing in that moment at that time and be engaged in that. Yeah. And not be distracted.
Like if
we're going swimming or we're going
Branson's tennis
lessons, like, we're there.
We're there for him. We're there in that moment.
We're not, and I'm not going to be, I think you probably listen to like Gary Vee podcasts or something, and he talks a lot about like when he's working during the week, long days, and I'm very similar in that work ethic during the week. But when it's time when he's taking family time, or when we're taking family time, it's focused on family time is what I'm really trying to do. I'm not great at it yet. I still have my phone there, but I'm trying not to be on that stuff when we're doing things together. Like, ignore it. It doesn't matter right now. Nothing's going to burn down. If it does, I'll get a phone call.
Yeah.
But when we're doing stuff together, that we're 100% engaged in that. And that's quality time together. It's not just quantity of sitting and watching TV. Like, we don't sit and watch TV with our son ever.
Yeah.
We haven't turned the TV on together.
We canceled our cable a long time ago. We don't even have anything to watch.
We just don't. We go for a bike ride. We go for a scooter. We go for a swim. We're outside in the backyard playing. So it's trying to spend that time.
Yeah.
As opposed to fitting into like society's balance. That's not important to me. I could care less.
I think I've never actually truly met anybody that's balanced. But it's just kind of something that takes them on their journey where they say how they keep their head on their shoulders. Like how they don't completely burn out and just collapse, because business is tough. And especially if you are like at the top of a business, like what would happen if you burnt out and then all of a sudden show's over kind of thing, and you just have to find your way. And I like the idea of, like, we're going to put our nose to the grindstone for these 5 days, knowing that 2 days are going to be a little lighter, and then we will be present for those 2 days.
Yeah, and that those 2 days that are a little lighter might be a Monday and Tuesday, which is often the case
like today,
right now, right?
Tuesdays we're not in the restaurant today. we are not training our new owners, our new franchisees today. I was in this morning, so we're in a bit, but
Yeah.
but today, like Tuesday's a lighter day, but we have a ton of stuff we're gonna do.
Yeah.
But this is an easy day, right?
But
awesome.
like Friday is our go time, right? That's when we have our big orders. That's when it's busiest in the restaurant. That's when delivery is busiest. That's usually when people are relaxing, right? On a Friday. That's not us. So it's just different.
A friend of mine, or a friend of ours, he calls them when people. He says, "I love." His quote last week was, "I love when the day walkers wish restaurant people a happy long weekend."
Yeah.
So like it's so true though, right? Like it's just a different business.
Yeah.
Right? Weekends,
long
and
weekends and
evenings, long
holidays
weekends. Those are for a lot of restaurants. Those are go time, versus the average kind of individual that those are times off. Just the way it is.
Well, it's so funny, like when I was training and working at Central on both days of the weekend kind of thing, I'd have people that would be, "Oh, Brad, it's Friday!"
Yeah.
Like, I just kind of like make the most of my middle of the day on a Monday.
Right?
And, I did the same thing. It was about being present. Like if you're spent and tired, you take that time, you take your nap. Yeah. If you need a change of atmosphere, you go to the park.
Yeah.
If you need to talk to somebody, you call them up. Whatever you have to do to kind of get reset and keep things balanced.
Yeah. Well, it helps even, like we have a dog named Quincy. He's a standard poodle, and he's quite a character. And even just sitting with him on the floor for 5 or 10 minutes and just scratching him behind the ears, like that to me is a nice break.
Dogs are incredible.
Yeah.
The amount of benefit a person can have by being a dog owner. And I'm always a big advocate about dogs, and people are like, "Well, where's your dog?" Condo's too small. One day I'll get a dog.
Yeah, no, they're great.
It's a good time.
So I'm going to go into the question that I ask all of my guests, and we'll go one after another. You'll each give different pieces of advice, but if you could give one piece of advice on how to authentically live your life to the fullest, what would that piece of advice be?
You can go first.
One piece of advice. I would say do what you want to do and don't sit around and procrastinate on doing those things. That's just the biggest for me is like if you have an idea of what you want to do, or if there's a trip, or if there's something you want to take, a trip you want to take, or a place you want to go, or something you want to go after, just put into motion the actions you need to make that happen. I mean, you're sitting and dwelling, especially like we talked about earlier in this era of social media, you can go through your Instagram feed and see all these people that are supposedly living an amazing life. So you can do that all day, or you can go and take action towards doing the things like that for yourself that you want to be the one taking that picture if that's what you're into. Yeah. And that's just, if you want to do something, go do it. Yeah. And make it happen. And it's not going to happen overnight. And that's my issue is I want it to happen a lot of times I want things to happen quickly, and I understand they're not going to, and they're going to take work, but go after and get started. I mean, that's, I think, one of the biggest things I've learned over the last 10 years, and that's what we continue to try and do. We're starting, we didn't mention anything about it. We're starting a new company in a couple weeks. So,
are you able to reveal anything, or is it still under wraps?
Oh yeah, no, we're launching a keto food products company.
Nice.
We launched a keto dough in October of last year in our restaurants that I created this modified version of a dough, and we launched a keto pizza, and we sell a lot of it. And I make it all right now, by hand, like kind of hand rolled and everything. But by the end of this month, our goal, end of May, our goal is to launch our keto food company selling keto pizzas, keto crusts, keto pierogies, keto pizza pops, direct to consumer, online throughout Canada and stuff. So
it's incredible.
We're working on that. We've been doing R&D, but again, we had this idea, we have this product, and we're just going to go ahead and do it. Yeah. We don't have everything figured out yet, but we're going to figure it out as we go.
Nobody really has everything figured out
yet.
We're
going to work. It's going to be hard work. We're going to produce late at night, and we're going to put a lot of hours in, but we're going to see if we can make something out of this, because we found that we have a product that people are really looking for, And everyone we talk to, it's difficult to make keto pizza. We know that.
Time consuming.
No one, like, the dough is hard, but we figured out processes to make the dough quickly. And we have efficiencies built in, so we're going to be selling people keto pizza, keto pierogies, and pizza pops and stuff like that, and just continue to innovate. But again, we had an idea, we're just doing it.
Awesome.
Give it a whirl.
We're giving it a shot, right? So we'll be up and running with that quickly, and we'll see how it goes.
No wonder you're researching different mixers.
Actually, that wasn't for that. That was for the
Okay.
new franchises we're building. But it will eventually help. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've learned a lot.
Nice. All right, your piece of advice.
I totally agree with everything that Gavin said, for sure. And just kind of building on that, I guess, but taking pride in everything that you do, whether it's, if you're running social media accounts, taking pride in that and being true to yourself and your vision with that, or pride in community projects that you do. Like, is my son going to be proud of the legacy that we're kind of building for him in this pizza restaurant with our community stuff and our products? And just really, I don't know, if you're going to live a full, authentic life, I feel like you need to definitely take pride in those pieces of your life, because you need to believe in it if you're going to project that out into the world.
Yeah. I completely agree.
Yeah.
And that about wraps it up. I'd like to thank you both for giving me this time. It's been
Thanks
a
for
really
having
cool
us.
chat.
Thanks for having us.
You bet.